Well, hello everyone, and welcome to actually not leveling up the podcast, although we do have new episodes up of that. But tonight we are doing Thought for Thursday. I'm so glad that you are here with me for this for this wrap up in many instances of what we have been talking about over the past few weeks, over the past several weeks. We've been talking plans, haven't we? And plans for reinvention. Well, guess what? We're talking tonight about the fact that you can plan all you want, but until you actually do some implementation, your planning is really just rustling in the wind, isn't it? You're not really getting anything accomplished. So, we're going to talk a little bit tonight about why motivation really does fade without strategy. And we're going to talk some about how it is that you can bridge the gap between vision and execution. So, how is it can you go from the planning phase to one where you actually start to take action? And that's so important because I know, speaking from experience, I've planned many, many times and find myself starting at the beginning because I never really get off the ground. I mean, let's talk honestly for just a minute. How many times have you kind of left a conference or a workshop or even a powerful conversation, okay, a really good conversation, and you feel inspired? You are ready to take on the world, ready to change everything, only to look up a week later and realize you haven't moved not even an inch from where you started. You haven't really even pulled out the notes that you took when you were at that meeting or the convention or whatever it was that you were attending. And it's not because you're lazy, it's not because you're lazy. It's not because you don't want it, but it's really because motivation without some kind of strategy is really like fire without wood. It's not going to catch, right? You can have fire and it can provide some heat, but a fire is really not going to sustain itself unless you have something in there that's helping it to burn. It'll burn bright, okay, without that wood, but it's not gonna last. So we're shifting gears from just being in that planning mode, from just being inspired to actually implementing some things, because your change, your reinvention, your growth, your movement isn't really built in the moments of excitement. We all know that because we've all been excited about something here or there. But it's really built in the systems and in the routines and in the steps that you follow. So, we've been talking again a lot about what it is that you need to do to actually make change in your life. Now, motivation is really powerful, but it's also temporary. And that's what I've been trying to kind of stress already. They rise and they fall, distractions are going to show up. The big idea that feels overwhelming, it really is going to continue to feel overwhelming without a clear next step as to how you're going to get in place, as to how you're going to start to move. So that's why so many of us really just get stuck in cycles of starting and stopping and starting and stopping. And it's because we confuse inspiration with implementation. And they're two very different things. Motivation is really that spark, but strategy, all right, the strategy that we're looking for to really get that spark to move is the structure that keeps that fire burning. So think of it like this. Vision says that, for example, I want to write a book. Implementation says I'll write 300 words every day before work. You see where I'm going with this. Vision says I want to be healthier. Implementation says I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. and go to the gym at least 3 times a week. Vision says I really want to grow in my career. Implementation is saying I'm going to take a course that's going to help me with time management so that I will do better in managing what I need to do, the courses that I need to take, what it is that I need to learn, so that I'll be better with that. and be able to grow in my career. So that is where we're heading. That is what you need to do. Those are the changes that need to be made. Now, tonight I'm going to talk to you. As you know, I always leave you with 5 tips from moving you from stuck to unstuck, for helping you to get on the other side of whatever it is that is holding you back from making change. So I'm going to give you 5 tips tonight. On how it is that you can move from being inspired to actually getting to the point where you're implementing some things so that that change that you want to make, so that that reinvention that you want to take place can actually occur. So what are some things? What are the 5 steps we're talking about tonight? Well, the first one is you're going to have to break things down. What do I mean by break it down? Big visions, we've already said, are really overwhelming. They really can stop you before you even get started if you start to think about what it is that has to be carried out in order for you to reach that goal, in order for you to reach that vision, how long it may take, how many steps there are between what you've thought about and actually bringing to fruition what it is that you're trying to do. So it really is a lot easier to kind of break it down into smaller steps, small, specific, and doable steps. Because if you go right out of the gate with a huge do that you want to accomplish, and then you start falling immediately, the first thing that stops you from getting that doable action going is going to stop you from proceeding in the process because you're going to feel defeated before you even start. So break it down into small bites. You've heard the saying that you can't eat an elephant all in one bite. You can't take on this entire process. You can't bring about change by thinking it's going to be overnight, or by starting right out and trying to do something huge when chances are you've started before and you haven't really gotten very far, perhaps because you were doing something huge. Make it smaller. Make it smaller, more palatable, and easier to digest. All right. What else do you need to do? Well, if you're anything like me, if you don't write it down, it's not going to get done anyway. You're already feeling like you're not going to be able to accomplish something. So you don't have it written down. You don't remember what it is that you were going to do. You don't remember the steps that needed to be taken. You don't know the people. You don't know the resources that you need. Because, the memory doesn't always serve us as well as it could, right? I'm speaking from experience. So make sure that you put it on a calendar. A dream that isn't scheduled, a goal, a vision that isn't scheduled is really just a wish. Remember that. It's really just a wish unless you put it on something and you schedule it. That definitely increases your chances of actually getting it done. So block time in your week for the actions that really matter to you the most. You block time for everything else. Block time for that thing that's going to actually make a difference in your life. It's going to make you feel better about you. It's going to make you finally kind of move in doing something that perhaps you've desired to do for a very long time. It's going to help you to make change in your life that's going to be profitable to you and not just changes that are profiting everyone else. All right. So make sure that you put it on your calendar. Another way to kind of ensure that you get things done and you start implementing is to pair it with a habit. Attach a new action to something that you really perhaps already do daily. For example, journal right after your morning coffee, or read your affirmations. Perhaps, pray. Perhaps you take your walk. Whatever it is, make sure that you are tying whatever it is you're trying to implement to something that you already do. Because why? That's going to help you to do that thing all the easier. So if it's already tied to something that you do, it's a lot easier to go ahead and pick it up. For example, I'll just give a simple example. I found myself at one point forgetting to take my medication. Well, something that I knew I was always going to do, was to pick up my keys and to get in my car every morning, for example, and go to work. So what I started doing was to put my medication right next to the keys. Then I couldn't help but see it. So do things like that. Do something in which you can tie what it is you're trying to implement, all right? Whatever stage that is, whatever block that is you're building, tie it to something that you already have as a habit in your day to day. All right. So we've talked number one, make sure that you break it down into pieces that are a lot easier to digest. Make sure that you put it on a calendar so that you're not relying on your memory when your memory can frequently be a little faulty. Make sure that you pair it with a habit, something that you're already doing that's going to help to guarantee that whatever it is you're trying to implement is going to get done as well. What else? Build accountability. That is so important. I know personally, accountability is what's helped me to release a lot of the weight that I've lost. That's helped me to change my eating habits. That's helped me to, profit from the benefits of doing things finally in the right way, coming off of medications, feeling better, being healthier. So being accountable and really strict accountability in my case really helped me to be able to do some implementation rather than to continue to dream about being in a healthier place, about doing things in a better way, about feeling better every day instead of feeling sluggish by 12 every day. All of the things that I needed to do in order to make changes I was able to do by being accountable to someone, to some people for it. That works incredibly well for me. Now, sometimes accountability is not going to work so well for you if that person isn't going to really hold you to the fire, if they're not going to really make you accountable. So make sure in establishing that accountability, it's going to be someone who realizes that they are an instrumental piece of your plan and that they too desire for you to succeed. That's very important. And the last thing is, and I always talk about this, particularly for we women who have a tendency to celebrate everyone but ourselves, make sure that you track and you celebrate your progress. I don't care if you're feeling like you're back at square one again. You're going to push and do something new so that square one looks a little different, and you're going to celebrate that thing. Keep a visible tracker with you that really kind of check marks or journals or some kind of app that's going to help you to celebrate those small wins. And that in turn is going to help you to progress with momentum. So you're going to break it down into smaller pieces. You're going to put it on your calendar so that you don't forget what it is that you're trying to accomplish. You're going to pair it with a habit that's going to make it a lot easier for you to pick that up, as I do with my keys, for you to pick up that thing that you're implementing alongside with something you're doing on a daily basis. You're going to have somebody, something, some means of accountability, and you're going to track and celebrate your progress. Those are the steps that you're going to take in order to move from inspiration to implementation. Because you need to realize that it's not inspiration that's going to change your life. Now, that will help. That will help to get you moving in the right direction. But it's what you do with that inspiration that's really, really going to make a difference in your life and get you moving in the direction in which you need to go. All right. Listen, if you need some support in this area, I say it every time we come on here, and I say it frequently in our emails and in on social media. We have a means by which we can help you to get moving, to get to the place where you're actually doing implementation and not just being inspired or dreaming. If you want more information, text me and say more at 240-789-4299, or direct message me on any of these social media platforms that I'm here on tonight: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Send me a DM and we'll get back to you, certainly. Or if you want to send an email, send it to atucker at joleaseenterprises.com. That's it. Thank you so much for joining me. Make sure that you don't just dream about what it is that you want to do. Put some things in motion that you're actually going to be able to make some traction with, that you're actually going to be able to make change with. Go out and be you, authentically you. Make sure that you tune into YouTube, Spotify, or any of your favorite platforms where you catch podcasts. And listen, we've got some tremendously great new podcast episodes that have just been uploaded, including one that we uploaded just this week. Go out and be authentically you, knowing that who you are is more than enough, that imprint that you have to make a change for yourself, to make a change to make the people around you better, the world around you better. All of that is so needed. Go out and touch something and make a difference. Make sure that you put self-care first. And until we see each other again, please be well.